in Beaumont. I'm a partner in KPMG based in our Leeds office. My role in the business is looking at KPMG Enterprise. I look after KPMG Enterprise for Yorkshire and the Humber. And what that means is I'm focused purely on private business, entrepreneurial, family business and private equity backed businesses. That's where I've spent over 25 years of my career, and that's what I do.
And what's the biggest challenge facing private businesses at the moment in the region?
I think there are a few challenges. I think the old one of access to funds has probably disappeared a little bit. There are lots of funds around. I think the challenge there is identifying where you can get funding from. I think the bigger challenges facing private businesses at the moment is the access to talent and retention of talent. And I think that's really a difficult area. When I talk to businesses at the moment, that's the area where they're seeing their major capacity constraint. And you've seen some really interesting things. So two businesses I've been out to recently, one was engineering, one was textiles, and the guys who really run their really skilled areas are in the 60s. You know, and their access to talent to replace those is really limited. So they're getting plenty of orders, but they've got a real bottleneck with some guys who are working really hard. But replacement to those guys is difficult because we're not training that skill anymore. So what we are seeing is some private business starting academies where they're training their own people. And also one of those businesses, we had two 20-year-olds stood by these guys, watching them and trying to learn, but having to learn very quickly. I think that's a major issue.
The region has a really strong academic infrastructure, 9 higher education institutions, but how does the region at that sort of macro level piece together with the needs of businesses?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question, and depending on who you ask, you get a very different answer. So if you ask the universities, they'll say they're really willing to engage with corporates. If you ask the corporates, they're seeing sort of hitting a brick wall when they try and walk into the universities. So I think the challenge for universities is to make it accessible for businesses to get into universities, to help shape programme and work with the young talent that's coming through. But as I say, everybody's got a view of whose fault it is. But you are right, we have some real skills coming out of those universities, both in the academia that's there, who can help businesses, and the talent that they're developing. That our challenge as a region is to retain that talent. And you know, as you say, we've got some fantastic universities, but does the talent stay in the region? And you know, and it sort of brings you back to the Northern Powerhouse debate, which is a really interesting debate.
How important is it to the region, whether that's defined as Leeds, Yorkshire or the North as a whole, to have really strong, growing private businesses?
Well, it's fundamental. I mean, if you look at Leeds region in itself, we've got an ageing population and we are in danger, and the jobs we're creating tend to be low-skilled jobs. We're now operating on a global platform, and my view is, and I think it's a well-held view by many, there will be mega cities which dominate the world, and Leeds will not do that on its own. So we need to create a region, and I would say that region needs to be beyond Leeds. We need to stop worrying about what's happening in London and whether that's draining things from the region. We need to take the best of London and what London has to bring us from the international stage. But we also need to work with our partners over the Pennines, which is a very difficult task, I know, but that's where I think we ought to do it, because that's the only way we've got as a region to compete internationally and to retain talent, and then start looking at where we focus talent. You know, if we look at one area in particular that really mystifies me, we've had politicians come up and say we're going to be the data analytics centre for the country. We've got the Open Data Institute. We've got some fantastic digital businesses, but when you see young talent coming out of universities, all they want to do is go back down to Shoreditch. And our challenge is, how do we create that digital community where the young talent wants to stay and play in the region? And if you look at our region with that access to the countryside and the culture, it's a really enticing place to stay, but we've got to give them a career path.
And I think is part of that answer in the quality of the support mechanisms in the region, you know, whether that's professional services, firms acting as trusted advisors to sort of bring everything together?
I think it is. We at KPMG we're seeing this in two areas. First of all, KPMG Enterprise is around how do we support regional business beyond just accounting and auditing and corporate tax? How do we engage businesses? How do we connect businesses together for the benefit of those businesses? One area I've talked about before is we don't champion success stories about exporting. So who have been successful at exporting, and how do we link a business that's thinking about that to that business that's gone through those teething problems, and how do we put business together? So I think that the professional community and the local authority as well has got a great place to play in this. We have. I was working in the business the other day. We identified 24 grants that business could possibly access. Now that business found 2 by its own means. And if you look at all the businesses around it, we don't make it easier for them to tap into that infrastructure or those initiatives, which are fantastic. But how do you find them? So I think both professional advisors, lawyers and accountants have got a place to play in that. But also we need the LEP and the local authority to really engage and bring all that service together. We're working with the UKTI at the moment on an initiative nationally to help private businesses look to see how they access knowledge, initiatives, missions to go overseas, business missions, so they can connect and go overseas. So I do think we've got a really important part to play in that.